Welcome back to the Sister Wives crew. For years, we've sat in front of our screens, captivated by the drama of the Brown family, believing every tear, every fight, every heartfelt conversation TLC put in front of us. We watched them struggle, move, argue, and ultimately watch a plural family collapse. But what if everything we thought we knew was a lie? What if the arguments over Coyote Pass, the supposed financial struggles, even the divorces, were only the surface ripples of something far darker? Something Kody and Robyn Brown have kept hidden for years? Our team has dug deeper than ever before, speaking to insiders, former confidants, and sources deep within the production. And what we've uncovered will change the way you see the Brown family forever. This isn't about petty jealousy or miscommunication or who got the bigger house. This is a high-stakes financial conspiracy. A desperate gamble that went horribly wrong. A master plan to secure a legacy at the expense of everyone else. Before we dive into the evidence, do this. Hit that like button if you're ready to see behind the curtain. Subscribe and ring the bell. Every revelation we uncover from this point on will make you question everything you thought you knew about the Browns. Let's start with the mystery that has haunted fans for years. Coyote Pass. The official story is familiar. They couldn't agree on house placement, zoning issues. They ran out of money. A story of indecision, a narrative of incompetence. But insiders tell a very different story. The Brown family never intended to build on Coyote Pass. That land? It was collateral. Collateral for a massive off-the-books loan Kody Brown secured soon after moving to Flagstaff. Not from a bank, but from a shadowy private investment group with ties to fundamentalist communities, known by insiders as the Patriarchs Fund. This isn't just a loan. It's a network that funds high-profile plural families, not for charity, but to control them, to maintain influence, and to ensure obedience. Kody, desperate to appear successful after the chaos in Vegas, allegedly signed a binding agreement with this fund. The money, sources estimate low seven figures, wasn't for building homes. It was seed money for a series of high-risk ventures Kody believed would make him a mogul, a patriarch respected beyond his own family. Think about it. All those arguments over plots, trees, and mountain views. A show for the cameras. A performance to hide the real drama. Secret phone calls, interest payments, and looming default clauses. That land wasn't a dream, it was a ticking time bomb. To understand why, we have to go back. Why did they leave Las Vegas? Not for cooler weather or small-town charm, as TLC suggested. The truth. Kody's financial life in Vegas was crumbling. Failed survivalist gear franchises, disastrous investments in custom firearms. He was over-leveraged and trapped in promises he couldn't keep. Every conversation about moving? Not about a fresh start. It was about escaping debts, lawsuits, and financial collapse. Flagstaff was chosen not for the pines, but for distance and complexity. A place to hide the family's remaining capital in land that creditors couldn't easily seize. And this is where Robyn comes in. Don't mistake her tears for weakness. Insiders paint her as a shrewd strategist. She recognized the looming disaster long before anyone else. Robyn, through contacts from her past, introduced Kody to the Patriarchs Fund. She presented it as a lifeline, but our sources suggest a darker motive, creating a financial structure where she and Kody were untouchable, legally and spiritually insulated at the expense of the other wives. This loan wasn't just financial, it was spiritual. The terms were draconian. Default meant not just foreclosure, but excommunication, a spiritual death. By guiding Kody into this loan, Robyn effectively shackled the entire family to her success or failure. Christine, Janelle, Meri, they had no say, yet their homes, their futures, were leveraged against Kody's schemes. And the schemes themselves? Explosive. First, Providence Provisions, a subscription box for modern homesteaders. Kody spent hundreds of thousands on product sourcing, branding, and a custom website. It collapsed. Then a private security consultation firm, another failed venture. With each failure, the pressure mounted. This explains the fury, the rage, the obsession with loyalty and obedience we saw in Flagstaff. Kody wasn't angry because of petty disobedience. He was terrified, watching his family and his empire crumble under the eyes of men who held his spiritual fate. The fallout? Christine. Her pleas to move back to Utah weren't homesickness. They were a desperate attempt to save the family. Kody's refusal? Predictable. Selling Coyote Pass meant exposing everything. So he painted Christine as the enemy, disguising the cage he had built for them all. Her eventual departure wasn't emotional, it was survival. And Meri? She didn't stay out of hope. She stayed because the rules of this secret financial game demanded it.
Meri Brown had always been the quiet watcher in the storm, never the loudest, never the first to walk away. But if you looked close enough, her silence was strategy. Because Meri, more than anyone, understood the fragile, dangerous balance of power holding the Brown family together. She had been there since the beginning. She knew the names, the networks, the whispered alliances buried deep inside the fundamentalist world they once called faith. She understood exactly who sat behind the curtain, men tied to the so-called Patriarch's Fund, a shadow system that rewarded loyalty and punished defiance. Meri's loyalty to Kody wasn't born from love anymore. It was survival. Leaving meant more than heartbreak. It meant exile, financially abandoned, spiritually erased. By staying, even in her loneliness, she kept one small thread of power. Technical inclusion under a patriarch protected by a massive, spiritually binding loan. In that twisted world, even a crumbling marriage could serve as a shield. Every awkward live stream, every bizarre defense of Kody and Robyn online, wasn't the act of a delusional ex-wife. It was a message, a signal to the men in charge. I am still loyal. I am not your enemy. Do not cut me off when the reckoning comes. Meri's isolation wasn't punishment. It was self-preservation. She quarantined herself emotionally and spiritually, distancing from the rebellion of the other wives so that when the walls fell, she wouldn't be buried beneath them. And then there was Janelle, the accountant, the realist, the only one who could keep the chaos on paper from spilling into total collapse. For years, she had been the backbone of the family's finances, the one balancing rent, utilities, college tuition, and Kody's endless business ideas. But when she uncovered the truth about the secret loan, everything changed. It wasn't just betrayal, it was a spiritual mugging. Decades of savings, every sacrifice she made, every dollar she stretched, had been weaponized behind her back. Kody had leveraged their collective future to chase fantasies of power and status. Janelle's calm exit, the one fans saw on camera, wasn't resignation. It was fury disguised as composure, the cold, quiet rage of a woman who had just discovered that her life's work had been used as collateral in her husband's empire of lies. That RV on Coyote Pass? That wasn't a lifestyle experiment. It was rebellion. It was Janelle planting her flag on the one tangible thing left in the ruins, a silent declaration. I will not be erased. By living on that land, she sent a message to Kody and to his mysterious lenders. She was still part of the balance sheet, and no one would bury her or her children under Kody and Robyn's debt. The fights over building houses weren't really about houses. They were proxy wars over justice, over ownership, over truth. Janelle wasn't leaving a husband. She was walking away from a fraudulent business partner. And that brings us back to Robyn, the architect behind the entire endgame. With Christine gone, Janelle walking away, and Meri effectively neutralized, Robyn's plan was complete. This was never about sisterhood, or harmony, or plural love. It was about consolidation. It was about power. According to our sources, Robyn's goal from day one was simple: dismantle the old Brown family structure and rebuild it into something she controlled entirely, a legal, monogamous empire centered around herself, Kody, and her children. Every tear, every breakdown, every helpless moment she displayed on camera was a move on the chessboard. She drove Kody into isolation, fed his ego, then became his sole refuge. When everyone else had turned away, she was the only one who still understood him. The only one who knew about the secret loan, the crushing debt, and the fund that could destroy them both. Her $1 million Flagstaff mansion, the purchase that shocked fans, wasn't a reckless splurge. It was a fortress. A calculated, legally protected asset in the event of bankruptcy or foreclosure. While the other wives lived in rentals or parked RVs on useless land, Robyn built her castle, paid for, in part, by the very money that was hollowing out the family from the inside. Behind the Weeping Willow act was a mind like steel. Robyn didn't just marry into a family, she executed a corporate takeover. Coyote Pass wasn't a dream. It was a leveraged buyout. And Kody? He wasn't the patriarch. He was the puppet. The story of Sister Wives isn't about the failure of polygamy. It's a Machiavellian tale of ambition, deception, and financial warfare carried out in plain sight while millions watched, never realizing what they were truly seeing. And if you thought the betrayals ended there, you're wrong. Because now we reach one of the darkest, most misunderstood chapters of all, the catfishing of Meri Brown. The official story painted her as a lonely, desperate woman duped by a stranger online. A cruel hoax that embarrassed the family and gave Kody the moral ammunition to cast her out for good. But what if that story, the one the world mocked Meri for, was itself a lie? Our sources suggest a chilling alternative, that the catfishing wasn't random. It was orchestrated.
Designed.
A controlled operation meant to accomplish two devastating goals: neutralize Meri as a liability and generate a headline-grabbing storyline to keep the TLC checks flowing. Because in that moment, the Browns weren't just running out of love. They were running out of money. And in Kody and Robyn's desperate world, pain wasn't a tragedy. It was currency. Think about the timing. The catfishing scandal didn't just happen. It erupted at the precise moment when the Browns' financial world was unraveling. Kody's failed ventures were piling up. The family's storyline for TLC was losing steam, and every day the pressure mounted. They needed a ratings jolt. They needed money fast. But here's where it gets chilling. According to an anonymous production insider, the sophistication of Sam was uncanny. Too precise. Too intimate. Too knowing. Sam had a near-prescient understanding of Meri's vulnerabilities, her deepest emotional longings, and the family's private dynamics. Our exclusive theory? Sam wasn't some random internet troll. Someone inside the inner circle fed this information, or orchestrated it entirely, to bypass Meri's defenses and craft a fantasy tailored perfectly to her emotional needs, to feel seen, to feel heard, to feel loved by a man who was everything Kody wasn't. And Kody's reaction? That's the biggest clue. Cold, controlled, righteous fury. Not shock. Not heartbreak. He instantly weaponized Meri's affair to justify ending their marriage, something he had wanted to do for years, but lacked the moral pretext to execute. If he and Robyn orchestrated this, it all makes sense. This wasn't a husband blindsided. It was a co-conspirator performing his part to perfection. He gave the cameras the story they needed, a clean moral reason to abandon his first wife. Robyn? She played the perfect role. The concerned, sympathetic sister wife, offering comfort and a shoulder to cry on, all while, according to our sources, knowing the entire thing was fabricated to serve her own agenda. Brutal. Brilliant. It permanently discredited Meri, turning her from the family matriarch into a figure of pity and doubt. She was removed from power, influence, and any potential challenge to Robyn's control over Kody or the family's resources. The scandal also did something else. It created a storyline so explosive that Sister Wives was guaranteed renewal, millions of dollars flowing in, much of it, our insiders say, going directly to pay the interest on the secret Coyote Pass loan. Meri wasn't just manipulated emotionally, she was a sacrificial lamb. Her pain became the fuel for Kody and Robyn's secret financial empire. And then there's the lost manuscript. Everyone knows Becoming Sister Wives, the glossy, sanitized family book. But our sources reveal an earlier, rawer manuscript, Janelle and Christine's true account. Janelle chronicled financial mismanagement and covert control. Christine documented the emotional toll of plural marriage, the isolation of being a basement wife. This was their truth. Kody and Robyn panicked. The manuscript destroyed the image they were selling TLC, a quirky, harmonious plural family. Under publisher pressure, Kody confiscated the book, claiming revisions were needed. In reality, he and Robyn, with a ghostwriter, gutted it completely, replacing it with the bland, marketable version that hit shelves. For Janelle, this was foundational betrayal. The theft of her story, the silencing of her voice, the erasure of decades of labor and sacrifice. It was the moment she realized that her perspective could be deleted if it clashed with Kody's narrative. Her eventual departure in Flagstaff wasn't sudden. It was the boiling over of a lifetime of hidden resentment. Christine, years later, reclaimed her truth through her own book and interviews, resurrecting the chapter Kody tried to erase. And the children? The estrangement we've seen isn't just about strict CO rules or favoritism toward Robyn's kids. The truth runs deeper. The kids, Garrison, Gabe, and the others, grew up inside a house of cards. One by one, they saw the cracks. They discovered financial documents, the Coyote Pass loan, and confronted Kody not with rebellion, but with questions. Why are their mothers struggling while Robyn lives in a mansion? Why is their inheritance held hostage? Kody didn't answer. He exploded. Accusations of disrespect and mutiny flew. It wasn't CO. It was fear. Fear of exposure. Fear of losing control. These weren't angry teens. These were witnesses to decades of deception, finally refusing to be complicit. Even Isabel's surgery was affected. The show framed Kody's absence as CO restrictions, but insiders suggest a harsher truth. Kody was under immense pressure from the Patriarch's fund, with looming payments and failing businesses. Travel was expensive. He couldn't afford it. He chose the loan over his child. That decision haunts his children to this day. So, where does it all lead? A family built on secret debt. A patriarch ruled not by faith, but by shadowy financiers. A wife orchestrating a takeover under the guise of tears. Betrayals stacked upon betrayals. A faked catfishing scandal. A censored manuscript. Children alienated for uncovering the truth. The story TLC sold you as fiction. The real story is a high-stakes financial thriller with devastating human consequences. Kody didn't lose his family because polygamy failed. He lost it because he treated them as assets in a corporate gamble he was destined to lose. Robyn didn't win his heart. She won control of a collapsing empire. And the tragedy? We all watched. All along. Never realizing the real drama, the financial conspiracy, the deception, the manipulation was unfolding right before our eyes. The pattern is clear. The blueprint of betrayal, greed, and calculated strategy has run through the Browns for over a decade. And the facts, as told by our insiders, paint a picture more damning than any television episode could convey. This was never a journey of faith. It was a prolonged, desperate scramble for fame and fortune, built on a mountain of secrets. But the story isn't over. As the family continues to fracture and more truths emerge, the full consequences of Kody and Robyn's alleged conspiracy are only beginning to unfold. The day of reckoning with the Patriarch's fund may still be on the horizon, and the secrets buried in Coyote Pass cannot stay hidden forever. Does this theory of a secret loan and a grand financial conspiracy finally explain the family's bizarre behavior over the years? What subtle clues on the show suddenly make sense? Drop your theories and observations in the comments below. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Sister Wives Crew, because our investigation is far from over, and the next insider report may be the most shocking yet. To understand the full depth of this conspiracy, we must go back to the very moment Robyn Sullivan entered the Brown family orbit. The official story paints a fairy tale picture, a chance meeting, a spiritual connection, a new love revitalizing a weary patriarch. But our sources tell a far more desperate story. Robyn did not arrive as a blushing bride. She came as a woman fleeing financial ruin. Her first marriage had ended, leaving her deep in debt. Her early online business, the precursor to my sister wife's closet, was reportedly a disaster, with vendors and lenders chasing her for repayment. She wasn't just seeking love. She was seeking survival. While Kody was crumbling, Christine and Janelle began building. This alliance is not just heartwarming, it's strategic. Janelle, the meticulous accountant, and Christine, the truth teller, pieced together years of financial inconsistencies, lies, and hidden debts. Their ventures today aren't just business. They're a war chest, laying the foundation for a legal battle over Coyote Pass. Every move, from placing an RV on the property to documenting contributions, positions them to reclaim what was stolen. Meanwhile, Kody and Robyn's ultimate gambit may be a new reality show, Kody and Robyn Brown, Rebuilding Our Kingdom. Every public meltdown, every severed relationship, every tearful confession is curated as a highlight reel for this pitch. They aim to monetize destruction, emerging as reality TV's monogamous power couple while hiding deaths and secrets. But the conspiracy runs deeper. Meri Brown, long seen as a victim, may have become a silent conspirator, maintaining loyalty in exchange for financial security. Her odd behavior, public defenses of Robyn, and isolation in Flagstaff suddenly make sense as part of a strategic pact to survive the family's implosion. The rental properties in Flagstaff, far from financial folly, were part of the money laundering and debt management plan. Fund-connected landlords ensured the family maintained an image of prosperity while money circulated back to the patriarch's fund. And the shadowy figure, the counselor, a hybrid lawyer-accountant, masterminded the entire operation, structuring the secret loan, advising on LLCs, integrating Robyn into the family corporation, drafting Meri's secret pact, and even influencing TLC production. He turned the family into a profitable, manipulable asset, hiding decades of financial mismanagement behind manufactured drama. Kody and Robyn then initiated a final phase, rewriting history. Assets were transferred, ownership stakes altered, social media curated, and private footage controlled, all to erase Christine, Janelle, and Meri's contributions. The Browns' narrative was no longer theirs. It was Robyn and Kody's carefully constructed illusion. The patriarch's fund waits for the perfect moment to act, potentially publicly shaming Kody while asserting their authority. The entire saga transforms from a reality show into a multi-layered epic of financial crime, psychological warfare, and spiritual manipulation. The players, Robyn, debt-ridden fugitive executing a corporate takeover. Kody, ego-driven patriarch and pawn in a larger game. Meri, silent conspirator trading dignity for survival. Christine and Janelle, calculating rebels building a war chest to reclaim stolen history. The counselor, shadowy puppet master orchestrating it all. This was never about love or faith. It was about money, control, and survival. And the final season won't be televised. It will be fought in courtrooms and whispered negotiations as the truth buried under Coyote Pass finally emerges. What do you think? Does the existence of a fixer like the counselor explain the family's seemingly illogical financial and legal decisions? Was Meri a willing participant in the cover-up? What will happen to Coyote Pass? Sound off in the comments. Your insights are a crucial part of this puzzle. And if you haven't yet, subscribe and turn on notifications. The next chapter is about to break, and you won't want to miss it.